What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are at Elsewhere in Brooklyn today. We just wrapped up an awesome interview with Yvette of Covet, and now we are here with David and Forrest of Covet. Thank you so much for your time today, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Not a problem, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. One question I'm really curious is being in the rhythm section of the band, what I find very interesting is, do you guys need to hear the guitar soloing and the guitar riffs in order to play your part in it, or does Yvette sometimes kind of like write over that and like according to what you guys would lay down?
It definitely helps having a very familiar idea of what Dave's part is outside of what Yvette plays, and kind of I can try to put my part to that. But it's something we do rehearse, is like we'll rehearse to her guitar and then we'll actually rehearse without the guitar, just Dave and I, and just try to figure out what are more things that we can sync up or write that kind of I don't want to say go against, but just kind of weave in and out of her parts. You're good.
One thing I was curious about is because David being the bass player, what I find very unique is the bass is such a primal instrument, is that it's very melodic, but it's also very rhythmic bass. Are you focusing on one or the other when you play?
I think the focus is always, I don't know, when it comes to writing bass for Covet music, traditionally, once you kind of decipher where a lot of the accents and the downbeats are, it's easy to kind of write melodies around those rhythms. I guess that's how I approach it, is like I think accents first, and then I think how the notes move around those accents. And once I get a firm understanding of how the rhythm is functioning, it really helps to sing melodies over that rhythm. Once I have it kind of established, that's a way that helps me write. And yeah, going kind of back to your question a minute ago about do we need the guitar to write the stuff? Like when I'm in the writing process, I desperately need guitar, and I need to be able to kind of pick it apart and know if I'm playing any notes that may clash against any of the number of notes that are going on in the various voices that she has going. But when it comes to like a live performance, I don't need as much guitar. I just really want to hear him, because once we know we have our parts like established and locked in, we've been playing with each other for like 8 or 9 years now, so it's just kind of...
We know the song, and it's so rehearsed in our muscle memory that I feel like if any of us couldn't hear one another, I don't know how much it would really affect the performance, because we're all very like just trying to play the part as best as we can, whether or not, someone else is I don't know, falling off or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you being the drummer, the famous saying, and this applies whether you're playing smooth jazz or you're playing grindcore. It doesn't matter. Your drummer sucks, your band sucks. So
only as good as your drummer. Yeah, I've heard that a whole lot.
So do you sometimes, I kind of like just ask this, but like, is it easier to write a beat after you've already heard the music, or do you like improvise it, like, or do you listen to the music and go, okay, I have to hit the snare at this time, the bass drum at this time?
Kind of like the way she writes is she'll write like a section that goes like, let's say I'm making up numbers, 5 3 3 4 5 5, and that happens once, and then I'll figure out where does for starters, put a kick on the first of each number just to kind of give it a downbeat, and then it's up to me where I want the backbeat, or if it's going to feel in halftime or cut time. But I do have a lot of fun trying to, I don't know, displace it, or I don't know, make something odd feel even, or something like that. But it's definitely, it has its challenges trying to make all these numbers groove, or trying to make all these numbers like have a pocket.
Of course. I mean, this guy plays the bass drum, the floor tom, the snare, the crash cymbal. He's that talented all at once.
Well, thank you very much.
I have to give credit to Michael Ackerfeld of Opeth for saying that live. I can't.
Said that?
That's
yeah. I made the same joke when I interviewed Brendan from Atreyu, and like somebody like wrote to me being like, "Fuck you stole that joke from Michael."
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Dude, Michael Ackerfeld.
Shouts to Atreyu. We're playing a song called Atreyu tonight.
Really?
Yeah, and it's one of the newer ones we wrote. We have 3 brand new ones that we're busting out.
Awesome.
And Atreyu is one of my favorite ones to play.
Yeah. It's got a really fun heavy section in it.
One of my favorite bands to see live. Great guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, kind of just let me into my next question in terms of like new music and stuff like that. Do you guys tend to take a new approach to every single album, or at this point you kind of have like a usual formula that you stick with the making of each record?
Absolutely trying to change it up. Like, I think Currents to Efflores, such a big difference. There's so much more space, and I wasn't even a part of Currents, but when I joined for Efflores, it was already clear that I think the band was headed in a new direction because Shibio was being written like right when I joined. Right when I joined, Yvette and I kind of worked Shibia out, and that was the first like kind of collaborative song we had since I've been in. Yeah, I'm spacing out, losing the question.
That's where you come in.
Awesome, the sauce. Can you rephrase the question again?
Like
just
if you take a new approach to every album,
Yeah.
or if you like,
So,
yeah.
I think in a general level, I think a new approach just happens naturally. It's a lot more organic than deliberate, I would say. It is deliberate in a sense, obviously, like you write the parts that you write. I know that for my bass parts, I'm always trying to evolve what I'm doing before, not repeating myself and trying to keep it fresh. And I know that sometimes that takes different forms when it comes into writing. Like for a record, I feel like for Currents, my bass is mostly just clean and overdriven. But then when Flowers came around, there's all the space in the music, so
There's delays.
I got to use a ton of like pitch shifting and delay and modulation and things.
Really cool
That was really
stuff.
fun. Yeah.
And I have two more questions for you guys, and I
Cool.
asked Yvette this as well. But you know, being like a completely different section of the band, I wonder if it kind of applies to you guys as well. When you're playing this material live, are you trying to execute it as close to how people hear it on the record, or is there some improvising involved, or like the live presence is just kind of like its own game altogether versus like songwriting or recording?
I feel like we aim for, if we're playing as clean as the record and it feels good, then we'll
Mhm.
kind of go out and try to be just a little extra based on how we're feeling. Just yeah, and that definitely applies to more Dave and I. But like just little subtle things like adding in an extra like just choking the cymbal or just hitting a
The way you
buzz,
make a
like-
certain groove feel, maybe like the way you finish it off with a slightly like C Dragon,
Yeah.
the 7 verse in C Dragon.
Mhm.
Putting it like on those upbeats.
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fun like live twist that we put to the rhythm section on that song.
It'll still be the same phrase, but maybe the surfaces I hit are different, or it'll still be Yvette's lick is made of threes, and my lick will be made of threes, but it'll just be happening somewhere else on the drums, or using a different rudiment than I did on the record, because I'm always trying to find ways to play the songs more musically, like the way I play Falcor and Howl and all the songs off Efflores now, because I've toured on it so much. It's so much different, and I feel like the way I play it live is even tighter than it was on the record,
Yeah.
just because I learned how to feel out those spaces more.
I think it's fun to take if you're feeling comfortable at a show and you're confident with the music, it's fun to take risks because you can see how those risks affect an audience, which might ultimately affect the finalized version of your part. So that's where him and I will take like 80 or 90% of the set is like locked in exactly, but then occasionally it'll be a feel thing, or it'll be sometimes I'll play a slightly different harmonizing note or something like that. I think
when she switches out guitars or tunes, we have little jams that we kind of write, but those are even more loose. Like he said, they're forms that just like try to make these hits happen,
yeah. And I think, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen you guys 4 times, but nothing. I don't think. I mean, and every time it's so unique. Just to, I saw you on Halloween last time.
Yes,
and
that was a fun show. That mask was melting my face off.
Yeah, I mean, you're eligible to join Slipknot now.
Yes, I heard they got a new member.
Yeah.
Turkey Sandwich or something. What was his name?
Turkey Sandwich?
He had an insane name. I feel like Popcorn something.
I wouldn't be surprised. That band is crazy. But then but now I'm seeing you like on the roof with a full moon tonight with the skyline.
There's an eclipse
Yeah,
tonight.
eclipse.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You're shitting me.
No.
I'm absolutely not. There's an eclipse tonight.
A lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best show ever tonight. Yeah.
We're feeling it. I
It's
don't
a
know.
celestial meeting,
Yeah.
for sure.
Man, people who aren't attending it are gonna be so pissed it's sold out. And the final question I'd like to ask you is, I know that you guys and Yvette teach a lot of students as well, especially like during your VIPs, which I think is great that these people get a chance to interact with artists and stuff. Does your students also teach you guys as well?
Oh yeah, you learn just like hearing other people's perspective, or
Mhm.
the way they ask a certain question. Like a really good question will teach you something.
Yeah. It's interesting working with students because you see the frame of mind they're coming from, and sometimes it can be a completely different frame of mind from where you've built all of your knowledge. And it's like now that you have the knowledge that you have over years of playing, you can kind of reconfigure it to fit the needs of their question, but it also gives you a way to maybe reflect on it when you're coming off of it and you're like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." And then I don't know, you never know what comes from anything in life. You just try to pick out the cool moments.
Yeah, I enjoy teaching a whole lot. It's really fun connecting with the fans or students and just kind of helping that metagame evolve, because hopefully you're inspiring the next sickest math rock band or whatever.
Yeah.
Be honest, you've stolen a couple riffs from your students. Like a student made a mistake or botched a note and like, oh, I'm using that in the next song. Fuck up like that again?
I go in my lesson and all of Shibby. It was just written by a 12-year-old on drums.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you guys so much for your time today. Is there just anything else you'd like to promote for the F. Flores record cycle? And I said it right this time because I think
Yeah,
I
F.
butchered.
Flores, yeah.
Yeah, because I butchered it when I
It's
interviewed that.
do you know a band called Oceanside?
Yes.
Oceanside. Oceanside
I
is
was
the
like,
town.
okay,
I usually get that right. I love that band. They have an album named F.L.R.S. So we were kind of hoping to it's a weird word, but hopefully people will kind of know it from that band maybe a little bit. But we thought it
F.L.R.S.
applied perfectly to where we were at as a band at the time, and we wanted to, I don't know, use a trippy fun word. But F.L.R.S. Yes.
Is there just anything else you would like to promote for this record cycle in terms of tours? This will be uploaded by midnight, so
Yes,
if it
so-
hasn't been announced yet, please don't say it.
Oh yeah, if it hasn't been announced, we're doing a run with Periphery and Veil of Maya this coming October, like September, October. I believe the date's I think it's like September 9th to October 3rd, roughly in that ballpark, give or take a day or two. And we're doing like everywhere in Canada. Not everywhere, but like every province and everything, and a lot of places we've never played before. So
I call Canada the Western Sweden at this point, so I think every date of that show is going to be badass.
Canada is awesome. Like we've played in Toronto about 5 times, and we've played subtle, and we've played Montreal once. And Montreal, I think, was the first show we ever heard people like singing melodies back at us.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
they were singing Glimmer back at us, which was really cool.
I heard people do that to Dark Tranquility, the Treason Wall, and oh my god, that gave me so much goosebumps. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, it's like that group activity, right?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
puts you in a place.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Everybody,
Thanks for having us.
we are here with David and Forrest of Covet. Be sure to pick up F. Flores if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we'll see you next time.